Welcome to this week's edition of Outdoors Online, a weekly webcast produced by the North Dakota Game and Fish Department. I'm your host, Tom Jensen. My guest this week is Scott Gangl. Scott is a fisheries management supervisor with Game and Fish. We're going to talk about Darkhouse Spearfishing in North Dakota. Just opened up a few days ago, I guess. Scott, first off, let's give the viewers some background. Spearing was not always legal in North Dakota.
No, it used to be illegal to darkhouse spearfish, but then we had quite a few people who were interested in it, and due to popular demand, the legislature passed a bill saying that we were going to legalize darkhouse spearing, and we had our first season starting in 2001.
It's been around now for then 12, 13, 14 years then.
Yeah, this is 2015, so yeah, this
growing
will be the 14th season.
Increasingly more and more popular every year?
Yeah, after the first season, it kind of slowed down after the first year, and then it was pretty steady for most years after that until we opened the entire state to spearing. Now we've seen a pretty good increase for the last 2 years, but it's kind of stabilized there too.
We have reciprocal agreements with other states that have spearing, don't we? Mm-hmm. In that our spearers from North Dakota can go to their state, vice versa, their people can come here?
Right, and the way the agreement is set up, if another state outlaws non-resident spearing, then it's illegal for their residents to come here and spear. And so it's not necessarily a case of if they allow it, you can go there and do it. It's if they disallow it. Oh. Because there's a lot of states where darkhouse spearing isn't even possible. We get a lot of questions now with a lot of residents from southern states wondering if they can do it here because it's not allowed there, but it's not disallowed either. So if you're from Arkansas where they don't have ice, you can do it here too.
Sure. It's a fascinating craft if you've ever seen it done or if you've ever done it yourself. Walk me through a typical day of darkhouse spearfishing.
Well, the first thing that you need to do is cut a hole, and typically a darkhouse spearfishing hole is a fair bit larger than your typical ice fishing hole, just because you're sitting in your house. How much bigger? Let's give them some perspective. As big as the coffee table, or? Well, it depends on, I guess, how much ice you want to cut. But right. A lot of people will have like maybe a 2 by 3 foot hole, just big enough that you can see pike and you can have your decoy set up and you can spear them and still get them out of the hole. You have to realize that they're probably going to come somewhat horizontally up through the hole. So most of them will have any size from 2 to 3 foot. There is no limit on the size of the hole. That's one thing to keep in mind. So typically the first thing that they'll do is cut a hole, and a lot of times they'll have their darkhouse that they'll move over the top of the hole. They'll do something with that big chunk of ice. They have to pull the ice out of the hole, or some people will push it under the hole. Some people will just push it down and push it under the ice to get rid of that. Clean out the hole and then move your darkhouse over the top. And it's called darkhouse spearfishing because you want to be able to look down into the water. So most people will have a house, if it's an ice house, they'll have the windows covered up, or they'll have a tarp that doesn't allow sunlight through. So that way it's dark, that way whatever light is shining through the ice will illuminate down below, and there's not going to be any glare on the hole. And then once you get your ice house set up, you get your hole cut, people will put a decoy down. And some people like to use homemade decoys. You can buy decoys commercially. But there's also kind of an art to it where some people really enjoy the art of carving their own decoy and having a fish come in to that. So it's a pretty simple sport, really. You have a spear and you have a decoy, you have a hole in the ice, and then it's kind of like bow hunting where you sit in your stand and wait.
Right, and some people might have a misconception too when a fish comes in, takes a look at the decoy, is available to be speared. It's not a matter of rearing back and really letting go with the spear. It's a craft. Most
of the spears that are built for it are heavy. There's a heavy metal head on it with the spear points, and then the handle is typically made out of iron as well. So it's heavy, and most of the time you just line it up and drop it and let it go straight down, and that'll go with enough force to penetrate the pike.
Not all game fish, you mentioned pike, and not all game fish are available as targets, right?
The only game fish that are legal to spear are northern pike. And then in addition to northern pike, you can spear any non-game fish. And that includes things like carp and suckers and things like that. So If there's any question as to what is a game fish or not, it's in our fishing regulations. You can go in there and look to see. We have all the game fish defined, and then anything else is a non-game fish. And
not all lakes are available too.
That's true. Since northern pike and muskie look so similar, and it's illegal to spear muskie, we have most of our muskie lakes, most of the lakes that we stock with muskie are closed to spearing. And those are the only ones. Otherwise, spearing is open statewide. Not all lakes have pike in them, obviously, right. So there's, I mean...
Is that how you determine which lakes are open? By the population of pike that you've seen?
No, all lakes are open statewide. The only ones that are closed are the muskie lakes.
All right.
So you can spear, you can go out and sit looking through a hole in the ice on a walleye lake, but you're not going to see a pike there. So a good thing to do is look at our fishing lake list on our website or something like that and find out where the pike are and know which lakes have pike in them.
The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service just gave us permission to allow ice fishing on many of the refuges around the state, or some of the refuges around the state. Is spearing legal on the refuges?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's just another form of angling, and it should be open on the refuges as well. And the ones that you're mentioning are up in the Devil's Lake area, up around Lake Alice and some of the other attached waters to Devil's Lake.
Okay. How about limits, daily possession limits?
It's the same as if you were angling for pike. It's the same as any other type of fishing. So there's 5 daily and 10 in possession. And spearing is similar to angling, where the spear counts as a fishing rod.
All right, can they use another line if they prefer in their spearing hole?
Yeah, our winter regulations are a little bit different than summer, where you can use up to 4 lines in the wintertime. So your spear counts as a line, and then you can use 3 other lines, and you can fish through your Darkhouse hole, or you can drill some other holes outside and put some tip-ups out or whatever you want to do.
Sure.
You can also have a hook attached to your bait. So if you have a decoy down, for example, if you put a hook on that counts as a separate line, and then your spear counts as a line, so then you can have 2 lines out. Otherwise, you can also use live bait as a decoy, as long as it's the legal live bait that we have in North Dakota, which is fathead minnows, creek chubs, and brook sticklebacks. Or if you're in the Red River drainage, you can use live white suckers, but they're illegal across most of the rest of the state.
Any other regulations people need to be aware of?
Well, mostly, probably the most important regulation is that you mark your Darkhouse spearing hole at the end of the day as well. Because once you're done spearing and you pull that shack away and you go away for the day, you've left a really big hole in the ice. And until that freezes over, it could be a real danger. So it's part of our regulations that you have to mark it at the end of the day. And you can use a natural object, which is, get a tumbleweed or a stick off of shore. Sometimes you're out in the middle of the lake and there's nothing around to mark it with. And so the other thing that we allow is a brightly colored wooden lath. Now it has to be wooden, so if it does go through the ice in the spring, it'll deteriorate, and it should be painted bright orange or something like that. And what most people will do is, you have this big hole in the ice, they'll just drill a small hole next to it, not all the way through, and just put the slush and stuff in there and stick the object in there, and then it'll freeze in pretty well and won't sink through the ice and blow away, and it'll be there.
All right. Remember, also, if you are going to take part in Darkhouse spearfishing, you need to register.
Yes, that's one of the requirements that we set up right away with the first season back in 2001. And what that allows us to do is track how many participants there are. And after every Darkhouse season, we do a survey of people who participated and who didn't. Well, everybody that registered gets a questionnaire, and then we can find out what the participation rates are. And we've been able to track participation, and we get a rough estimate of harvest and conditions out there. One of the conditions that people find to be a challenge is water clarity, because you're trying to see the pike, and so we can get an idea from people how well they were able to harvest pike and where they went, and we can find out where the harvest took place. We can ask them what lakes they were on and stuff. So that survey is really important, and that's another question that we get a lot from people: is why do I have to register in October? Why can't I do it right away when I buy a fishing license in the spring? I'll just register right away and get it over with. And one of the reasons is we only want to limit our survey to people who want to darkhouse spearfish. And if we opened it in the spring, I know I would do this. Most people would just register anyway and be like, well, let's just get it over with, and I might go or I might not go. I probably won't, but I'm going to register anyway. And we would probably have 20,000 registered people when only 2,000 people actually intended to go spearing in the first place. And so we open up the registration process in October to limit the people who are actually serious about spearing. And hopefully people don't forget to register then when December rolls around.
You mentioned earlier one of the best things that you can possibly do if you want to experiment with darkhouse spearfishing is to go on our website, look on our list of lakes, and find a good potential lake that's loaded with spearable pike.
Right, yeah, and our biologists have been doing a really good job of putting details on our lake list about, you know, the numbers of fish and the size of the fish. It's kind of general. They might say lots of big pike or lots of little pike, and you know, everybody's idea of a little pike is different, but you can always call us up and ask some questions too and talk to the biologist and get a good idea of where to go from there.
All right, Scott, thanks. As we mentioned earlier, it would be easier to tell you the lakes that aren't open to darkhouse spearfishing than the ones that are. So here are the only lakes in North Dakota where spearing is prohibited. Braun Lake, East and West Park Lakes, Lake Audubon, Hecker's Lake, the McCluskey Canal, New Johns Lake, Red Willow Lake, and Sweetbriar Dam. And again, the reason these lakes are closed is that they contain muskies, which are very similar to northern pike, but are illegal to spear. For a full list of regulations on darkhouse spearfishing, refer to the current North Dakota Fishing Guide or the Game and Fish website at gf.nd.gov. For Scott Gangl and the rest of the staff here at North Dakota Game and Fish, thanks for joining us for Outdoors Online. We'll see you again next week.